Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Sarah and this is my granny era. So I have a confession to make. I joined the Read What You Own challenge, which requires you to pick a certain number of books that you're going to read before you purchase any more books. That's the whole point of the challenge. Well, I failed, but I kind of didn't mean to, but what I always tell my kids is if you are not intentionally trying to do the right thing, then it's not good enough that you weren't trying to do the wrong thing. In this case, I wasn't being very intentional. So my goal was to read 5 books before purchasing books, then read 5 books before purchasing books, because this time of year, it's just a cozy, cool, chill in the air sort of a thing here in Northwest Arkansas that is usually hot and humid. And so it's the time when I like to go out and get a coffee, buy some books, browse the thrift shops, look for, neat old books, that kind of thing. And so I didn't really want to completely commit to reading 100 books or 50 books or whatever because, that would be months. And by the time I finally finished my challenge, it would be hot. And then I wouldn't feel like book shopping because I just want to hide away in my house with my AC and hermit until fall again. So anyway, I was just going to read 5 books and then go shopping, and I totally forgot. And it's really actually my daughter Avalon's fault because she said she wanted to go out thrift shopping. She asked me if I would take her, and I agreed to take her. And I couldn't help myself. I was enticed by all of these lovely books. And before I knew it, I had just purchased quite a few. And then I got home, and maybe that day, maybe the next, I realized, oh yeah, I forgot. I'm on a book buying ban until I finish my 5 books. So, I don't know, maybe I should bag the challenge. Should I? Should one mistake make me give up? Probably, because I really don't feel like I have a book buying problem, and I actually like to buy books, so we'll think about it. But anyway, today I want to share with you guys my book hauls. Now, I'm starting with some things that my mom sent me. My mom and I live about 1,800 miles away. I am in the southeastern part of the United States, central eastern sort of, and she is in the Pacific Northwest, up in the northwest corner in eastern Oregon. And so we live a really long ways apart. We only see each other once a year, but we keep in contact obviously online and through the mail. So she sent me 2 boxes of books. She sent me 1 box, and then when I sent the message to tell her how wonderful she was, she's like, oh, well, part 2 will be there on Tuesday. So I wanted to show you guys all the stuff that Mom sent me because there's some really neat stuff here. And then I'll share with you the books that I bought when Avalon and I went out, as well as one that I also bought online, but it was for the kids at school, so I don't think that one counts. All right, so let's go through the first box that Mom got me. First of all, she sent me this neat Victorian children's book called Nellie's Chicks. I really love books like this. As you can see, it's kind of an oversized book, and I kind of think of them like scrapbooks. They've got so many cute illustrations. And I wonder if kids colored in these, right? Do they use them as color books? Do they have colored pencils and crayons and all that kind of stuff readily available for all the little kids back in these days? I don't know. But I love these kind of books, and I have several of them. I love the illustrations in them. I love just the little rhyming stories and just the references to things. Here's a little story about Robinson Crusoe. Dear sister, I've built up a tent. I've long been intending to do so. It looks very strange, for I meant to live like old Robinson Crusoe. So it's just tells a little story about Robinson Crusoe. And then most of these have a color illustration at the first, as the frontispiece, maybe. So anyway, that was really special and sweet to add to that collection. Fun to read through. She sent me this neat vintage copy of Madame Curie. Now, she sent me a few months ago, if you remember, in my birthday box, a biography of Marie Curie. This one was written by Marie Curie's daughter, Eve. And so it's going to give a completely different perspective than that more modern biography did. In the front here is a looks like maybe like a magazine cutting or something. I don't know. It's a photograph though. It's photograph paper of Marie Curie that has been glued in. And then a little note here, and it says, "From another mother to her daughter, just a token of their understanding and love. To Julie, maybe? Or Judy? To Julie or Judy, May 1939. And then I got it from my mother, which I just think that's so sweet. This book came with a couple of forgotten bookmarks. Let's see if I can find them again. I've made a couple videos, maybe just one, on forgotten bookmarks, things that I find in books that were put in there long ago and then forgotten about. I guess this one has this one here. It's a leather bookmark, and it says, "Books are silent friends, Lakeshore, California." And it's been in here so long that it actually left its imprint inside the book. I love stuff like that. I think it is so neat. So I'm really going to enjoy going through this. Oh, I see. It's not a photograph. It's cut out from the dust jacket, because here's the little flaps that come on the end. Someone glued them in the back. So the dust jacket must have been getting pretty worn out. And so they just glued parts into it to try to preserve it the best they could. I think that's really good and kind of them to do for future readers like me. This book was published in 1939, so it just had come out. It was a brand new release when Judy's mother gave it to her as a gift. So that'll be fun to read. And then she included a couple of readers. This is Sears' first reader and the Expressive Reader's second reader. I love going through these little readers, and just everything is so, just the fun little pieces of character. The names inside, like this guy's name who had this book is Petlef Struve. Petlefstruve. I've never heard that first or last name ever before. But Petlef Struve wrote his name all over this book, and he stamped it in here even. So this must have been his special reader. This one is from 1892. And I love the stories, and then I also love the illustrations. Someone has left a Reese's Christmas tree candy wrapper in this one on the Sunshine Fairy story. But just some of these fun illustrations. Like here is one where a goose is getting this girl's dress. Here's one where they're visiting a children's hospital, maybe. And these little illustrations are not under copyright anymore. They are part of the public domain. And I've been thinking about copying some of these and making like junk journal ephemera to sell in my Etsy shop. I don't know. I might. The second reader was made out to Jessie Matz, September 2nd, 1918. And the book was actually published in 1911. Here's the color piece at the front of this one. So those are fun. And then this is a treat, a collector's treat for sure. So this is Moods by Louisa May Alcott. Now, Louisa May Alcott first published this book in 1864, and this is the first edition. This is the very first, this is it right here. And then about 6 or 8 maybe years later, she revised it and republished it. So this is the first edition before revisions. This is like the very first thing that she did with this book called Moods. That's pretty cool, don't you think? The cover, the little binding here is coming off, and so we can see the paper recycled to use to bind the book. I love stuff like this, guys. There is a few layers here. Some of this is upside down and some of it is right side up. And it looks like maybe old newspapers was used to bind this up. So this is a very special collector's book to add to my collection. Now, my mom picked this up at a thrift sale, like an estate sale. I'm assuming in the town that she lives in, Pendleton, and I talked about this town in a previous video because I read a book on it at the beginning of November. One thing that I really love about like yard selling, estate selling, thrift shopping in Eastern Oregon is there is just stuff. There is some really old stuff. And people just pull it out of the blue and put it up for sale in their estate. It stays out and put them out in their garage sales just every now and then. And you're like, how did you people hold on to this stuff in your barn for 150 years and then you're just now pulling it out to sell it for pennies at a yard sale? I don't know. It weirds me out, but they have Eastern Oregon has the very best yard sales ever. Not so much here. I think there's just too many people here, and so everybody gets the good stuff before you get there. But anyway, she got that at a estate sale apparently and did not pay a whole lot for it. So wow, that's really special. So that was pretty cool, pretty special. All right, and then box number 2. This is it just made me laugh. I really did giggle about this. So I'll show you a couple things first, and then I will show you. What I'm going to show you. So first thing, she sent me this pretty planner. This is the artwork of Linda Nelson Stocks. She is one of my favorite artists, and I don't even think my mom knows that. But I like to get her calendars. They're printed on this kind of like linen paper, and that's the, same thing that this book is printed on, this Lang brand. I love their calendars and planners and different things. But she is just a neat artist. She just, it's hometown country-ish sort of neat things. Here's a Mennonite community for the month of May. Here's people bringing in the, storing the harvest, the hay in September. Just, I don't know. I love this. I love this artist. So that's pretty cool that she sent me this neat little planner to get started on the new year. She found this vintage copy of Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. She knows that I've been going through the Agatha Christie stories and trying to find the original stories, not the ones that have been recently rewritten. So that was going to be fun to go through. Okay, now we need to get to the part of this box that cracked me up. So do you guys remember a few weeks ago I made a video called something like Things I've Never Told You, and it was the coffee mug book tag? Pretty sure that's what it was called. And I was basically answering the questions with things that I have never talked about on the channel before. And so I talked about a author called Eleanor Alice Burford, and she wrote by several pen names, and one of them was Victoria Holt, and I told you about how my mom used to read those all the time, and I love like those gothic-y things. All right, check this out. She sent me her Victoria Holt collection. They're all so cool and vintagey. I'm so excited. So let's go through these. This one is called The Pride of the Peacock. You guys are going to love these covers. They are so cool. This one is Minfreya in the Morning. This one doesn't have a dust jacket. This is On the Night of the Seventh Moon. Looks like that. This one is The Legend of the Seventh Virgin. Now, what is really cool and special to me about these is most of these have my grandmother's name in them. Her name was Betty, and she passed away when I was 7, and she was a voracious reader, and my mom took, I think, the majority of her book collection when she passed away, and so to get these is just super, super cool and super special. My grandma's name is in this one from 1966. All right, this one is Lord of the Far Islands, Bride of Pindoric, and The Shivering Sands. I am super excited. Thank you. Thank you for trusting me with your collection. My name is actually written in The Shivering Sands. I read this in 2019, apparently. And then finally in that box, she sent me this hardback copy of Homestead and Heritage, A History of Morrow County, Oregon. Now this is another one of those books about Eastern Oregon that's kind of Eastern Oregon centric, but this is all about the county that I was born in and that my mother's family has lived in since probably the really early 1940s, maybe. And it's just a story all about Morrow County, Oregon. If anybody's familiar with Morrow County, Oregon, I was born in Heppner, and that's where the majority of my family on my mom's side lives or has lived. So if you are familiar with Heppner, Oregon, let me know in the comments. Heppner, Oregon has stayed at a population of 1,500 people for well over 100 years, and I just think that's hilarious. And it's just one of those home, I don't know, it's home, right? It just has that same feeling. It has little tweaks and changes, but for the most part, it doesn't really change. So those are the books from my mom. I want to show you one thing I got off of Amazon, and then I'll show you the pile of stuff I got when I went out shopping with Avalon. So this book I grabbed from Amazon. This is basically like a Cliff's Notes on U.S. history. It's not super thick, right? So it's kind of just the basics of things, and it lists things down here, just like events. And so it kind of gives you an idea of like, here we're going to touch on these things, but it doesn't go into any kind of super detail. It's kind of a place to jump off from. The reason that I bought this is I develop most of my kids' curriculum for their homeschool. So I like to find resources and just kind of go from there, right? And so I thought that I needed some kind of a timeline that wasn't going to be the same sort of timeline that was in the history books when I was a kid and when, you know, my parents were kids. I needed something that was going to be a little more representative of the many different cultures and points of view in the US, to give me just reminders, right? Hey, when you talk about this part of history, don't forget to talk about this part of that same era of history, if that makes sense. And so I found this. So the back of it says it includes Indigenous people, the colonies, American Revolution, American expansion, the Civil War, Reconstruction, Industrial Revolution, World Wars I and II, the Great Depression, the New Deal, Civil Rights, Vietnam War, Cold War, 9/11, the war in Iraq, and the COVID-19 pandemic. So it's up, you know, pretty up to date. But I think that it's going to be I think it's going to be more well-rounded than some of the other things that I've been able to find. And so I've already started in with this and using this. Like I said, we're not using this as like any kind of a textbook or anything. It's just kind of like a reminder book for me. Like, these are the things that happened in this era within these different people groups in America and these different points of view. And I just kind of wanted a good reminder for that. All right, and then next up, I actually forgot about this stack too. I got all of these Sweet Valley Highs. So this is a series that I read when I was in grade school, but it's actually written for high schoolers. And I bought them all for Garbaugust. In August, we have a reading event where we read trash, stuff that's just not awesome. Or maybe it's awesome in all of its trashiness. I don't know. Anyway, I don't read a whole lot of super trashy stuff, and so I decided to do Garbaugust with a little twist where I just read like the cringiest stuff I can think of from my childhood. And so Sweet Valley High definitely fits with that. And I found this whole stack of Sweet Valley Highs in really great condition. So I'm going to save those for August and see how many I can get through, along with all the other cringy stuff that I've picked up since August. All right, now we'll get to the books that I purchased while I was out with Avalon. So we went to Barnes & Noble, and she's the one that I told you about in a couple of videos ago that likes to read the books translated from Japanese that feature a cat and kind of a weird story. So we found this one, The Cat Who Saved Books. This is by Sosuke Natsukawa, and this is basically a story of a cat who is on a quest to save the books that people don't care about, that they don't treat well, that they throw out or disregard or just neglect. And so it's a short story, but I think it's going to be a fun one. We like reading this kind of stuff. So that one I bought new. Everything else I bought used. I found this at a thrift shop. This is The Captive Queen by Alison Weir. I love Alison Weir's historical books about Tudor era and other eras of English history. I think that she's very thorough and good. I really enjoy her stories a lot. This one is Listen for the Whisper by Phyllis A. Whitney. And she kind of is in that same genre with Victoria Holt and, you know, Mary Stuart and whatever, Daphne du Maurier, all of them, writing these Gothic tales. This one is called The Sugar Queen by Sarah Addison Allen, which I have actually read this before. But when I was reading the back, I was like, I don't think I got what I should have got out of the story. And so I'm going to read it again. We'll see. This one is called Murder at the National Gallery by Margaret Truman. And I love reading anything that has to do with art history and art mysteries. So I'm hoping that I will enjoy that. This one is The Bookman's Wake by John Dunning. Now, I feel like I have got this book before. It's a book about Edgar Allan Poe. I think the idea is that someone has a copy of Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven that is unpublished, something. And so it's kind of like it's like a book mystery. All right, there you go. There's my confession. There's my book haul. Don't judge me. It was fun. And this is the perfect season for me to be shopping for books. So I have no regrets. I have no guilt. Let me know what you guys have found lately on your book shopping adventures. Are you doing the Read What You Own challenge? And are you succeeding? Hope everybody's having a great day. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.